Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Bowtied Media, and welcome to 2026. And so to bring in the new year, let's look back at 2025 and see how my bingo card that I created really went. So let's go one by one here and see where I hit, where I maybe missed in the year. And let's start with the top left, and work our way typically as you would go, I guess, a bingo across the right. But pop artist on Monster Cat. I'm going to give myself a yes for this. I think that did indeed work. Early on in the year, Slushy brought on Hayo, or Hyoyen, I think I don't know how you actually pronounce it, but some K-pop big artist for the track Money. And yes, indeed, I would say she is a massive, not so much in the Western sphere, but in South Korea, I believe she's insanely massive. So that one's a check mark for me. The Chainsmokers radio hit. Nope, that did not happen. Not really, not as big as some of their other songs were. They actually had a pretty decent album. I would say their best album they've ever released this year. Their best project even, but even then it was pretty mediocre at best. No big songs either. Popular label goes under. I will say no for this one. Technically, the Red Bull records, which isn't really EDM, they're kind of EDM adjacent. They had like Owl Nation, which is kind of the biggest name in terms of the EDM adjacent sphere, which they're not even really at that point. But yeah, they went under, which also it's just Red Bull's records. They're not like Red Bull obviously still around a ton. So in the EDM world, not many labels, big changes even happened in labels this year, which is, I guess, typical for most. But yeah, so this one was a no for me. Underground artist breakthrough. This one I'm going to give myself a yes, and I'm going to give this one to Run This, formerly known as Splitter. If you look at Splitter's previous alias, or the Splitter alias, not very popular, at least on, I guess, the commercial space, especially on streaming platforms. Their monthly listeners not super high, but they rebranded to Run This, and now they've taken off quite a bit. They hit, at one point this year, 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, so I would say for sure that was a breakthrough from a previously more underground artist. Major drama from a major festival. Yes, absolutely. Tomorrowland caught on fire 2 days before the festival started. 75, I think, % of the stage, something like that, was destroyed. People still had a good time. It still happened. It still went on, but absolutely, yes, I called this one correctly. It caught on fire. Terrible EDM/dance nominations for the 2026 Grammys, because that's what happens, that we get the nominations in 2025. And I would say no for this one. I don't think this was accurate. I think the nominations for the Grammys this year in the dance categories were actually pretty solid and very well-rounded. And I'm actually quite intrigued to see who wins it all this year, more so than I would say I was previously. Skrillex album. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Next one. Bowtied beef. This was a fun one because I just thought, I don't know, maybe I haven't really got into some beef with anyone. I don't know why I really would. I like to think I'm a pretty reasonable person for the most part, but maybe someone or an artist doesn't really like my opinions on something. Regardless, no beef this year. Not really any beef. I'm sure there's people that don't like me, but we're not beefing. Master Hand EP or LP, the big trio. I guess there's two with Hive Mind as well. Yeah, Master Hand didn't even have a single. They didn't even release a single. They're pretty much just a touring, just live show group alias at this point. So that was a big no. A major rhythm LP. I would say no to this one. I think I compared this to maybe what last year's was with like a Sizzy and or even the Marshmello and Sudden Death one, which kind of had that more kind of a commercial appeal. But I would say a major rhythm LP, not as much. I think the most popular one was probably the Beast Boy record, which I thought was great, but not one that I think is a like sort of major rhythm LP that had as much of a cultural impact than maybe the Sizzy or Mellow Death collabs did. So no for this one. A re-released classic LP. We see this all the time in the EDM space, and I'm going to give myself a yes for this one, a thumbs up. And I'm going to give this one to the Avicii Forever compilation. I know it's not necessarily like redoing True or like any of his other records or stories or something like that, but I do think this counts. For the heart of this one was to see like a re-release kind of something compilation of sort, and so I'm going to give myself credit for this one, even though it says LP and not compilation. I think this one counts. Maddie on release. Yep, we got two of them. We got High and we got Car Crash Baby, so big ups there. Charlie XCX Grammy win. Yes, at the 2025 Grammys, Charlie XCX did indeed take home technically 3, with the main 2 being the dance album and dance pop recording with Von Dutch. So Brat and Von Dutch both won Grammys, and so Brat also won like some like compilation packaged record or something like that for Brat. But yes, Charlie XCX did indeed win the Grammy, as she should have. Deadmau5 album. Yes, I thought we were long overdue for Deadmau5 album, and we were, except I was off by a year. 2026, Deadmau5 has said he's coming out with a new album this year now, but we did get an EP in the Error 5 EP, but that doesn't count. I clearly said album for this one, so no. Marshmello releases one of his best tracks to date. I'm going to say no to this one. I think Marshmello actually had a pretty quiet year, all things considered. I would say maybe Save My Love with Ellie Goulding was his best, and I even had to go back and look through his songs, and there wasn't even one that I thought was very memorable at all. So I would say this was a no. New Game X label collab. I nailed this one on the head with the NCS X Geometry Dash collab. Yes, absolutely. Crushed it with this one. It made sense. That was kind of a gimme, I think, personally. But yeah, this one was a big yes. New EDM game show. You know, I put this in here because I was going to make a new EDM game show, but then I had a kid, and then my priorities changed very quickly. So I wasn't working on the game show as much, and more so just on family life. So that game show, I think, might still happen at some point. It's a dream I've had for a little while, to get on a bunch of content creators and artists and do I'll say a Family Feud Jeopardy style game show. But that did not happen this past year. Random Daft Punk re-release. I'm gonna give myself a thumbs up for this one because yes and no. There's kind of like 3 things. There was all the Human After All remixes got like re-uploaded on YouTube and kind of re-pushed again. And then there was the Television Rules the Nation music video that officially got released, which had like leaked years and years ago and never really kind of actually released on any actual platforms, and so but now it's on YouTube. And then they made a Make Love visualizer for all the stuff from Human After All. So clearly, I don't know why, but they're kind of re-pushing Human After All again. Not sure entirely why, but I would say this one counts for sure. Pop artist releases an EDM record. I think this is another yep indeed, with the 2 I would say being in Pink Pantheress with her Garage record, and Tame Impala with his like just kind of straightforward house record, which I did not really love a whole ton and did not expect to be that way. But yeah, so we had Pink Pantheress, we had Tame Impala. Yes, for sure, this one happened. An April Fool's song. I should have said like a big April Fool's song. I'm sure there were some April Fool's songs that came out, but I was more thinking the Crab Rave Style or the like Sippy Banana song that is like hyped up to be something that's a little bit more intentionally April Fool's-y. Nothing I don't think really came out this year, April Fools. I feel like April Fools has kind of died a little bit as a cultural thing, so that was a big no. Major artist retirement. This one also, no, I don't think so. Martin Solveig has said he's retiring from performing, but that's not really the heart of where I put that one, so I don't think this one counts. Big EDM and rap collab project. Yeah, I would say this one goes to DJ Snake with his Nomad LP. It's a little all over the place in many different ways, but I mean, when your big song is with Travis Scott and Future with Tsunami, I feel like this one should absolutely count for sure, and DJ Snake was going to be the one to do a rap EDM collab of sorts, so I would give myself this one. An EDM Christmas album. No, I don't think this one happened. I looked around, didn't see anything. No. And finally, a Hive Mind EP or LP. Another big trio here that I thought was going to release some larger project. These guys actually did release 2 singles, but no EP or LP, so this was a no. So with all that, we look back at the board and no bingos this year, sadly. I was really close. If Hive Mind would have released an EP and not just the 2 singles, I would have had myself a bingo. Or if Deadmau5, his album came out earlier, I would have had a bingo, but no bingo for me, sadly, this year. I will say, I think I predicted a decent amount of pretty solid things this year. I think this is a pretty good year for me to have a decent bingo card, at least in my first year doing it. So stay tuned for a 2026 bingo card at some point, and let me know what you think your bingo suggestions should be, and maybe I'll add them onto mine. But other than that, I'm Dakota from Bowtied Media, and I'll see you guys in another video.